Hello everybody, this is ManuS and welcome back to another Eternal News episode. Today we just got the announcement for some sweet balance changes coming tomorrow. We don't know exactly when tomorrow, but I would assume there is a downtime tomorrow afternoon Europe time, and then the balance changes drop. So finally a reason again to play Eternal for me and get a bit more excited about the game, because I was being a bit bored with the state of the game lately. But yeah, lots of balance changes, buffs only to cards that are a bit underpowered. So let's take a look at the patch notes. Alright, so there we go. First off, we get pure stat buffs to cards without anything else changing. Alu Deathstreamer now is 3/6 instead of a 2/5, making the card a whole lot better. Card's still not that great, because the main issue I think is a lack of playable curses to get payoff, and 3/6 are pretty defensive stats. Black Hole War Leader now a 2/3 instead of a 2/2. I already felt the card was alright as a 2/2, but there were a lot of good 2-drops competing with it, and not that many shadow-based aggressive enough decks to take advantage of good 2-drops anyway, which is why I feel like she has been falling by the wayside a bit, but getting that extra point of health is a big deal, makes her block a lot better against 1-drops and attack better into 1-drops and even some 2-drops. So yeah, I think base stats of 2/3 plus growing, and also then growing to a 3/4 instead of a 3/3 is so massive. You only need to get one attack in, and then you beat a lot of the like non-fatty creatures, fatty units in the game. So that's pretty relevant. And yeah, then we also have Governor Sahin. The card was kind of lackluster for dying to Torch and Rizan and stuff, and also basically not really being able to block very well the turn it comes down to make up for the loss in tempo. And now all that gets a bit better. I don't think the card is great, but it is definitely a lot more playable to experiment with it. Nametaker now isn't laughably bad anymore. It's a 7/5. I think it's still a pretty bad card, but it's not ridiculously underpowered anymore. So that's a plus, I guess. And then we have Zelia, the Vayne, changing from a 4/4 to a 4/5 is a fairly big deal. Now bonding her out actually makes her block fairly well against a lot of stuff, and a bit harder to deal with, among other surviving display of instinct, I think it is, and stuff like that. So he's also a bit more playable, but I don't think Unseen gonna benefit too much from either of these two cards in a meaningful way. Then we get a change to Radiance and Wisps. First off, Entrancer, the 1 mana, like 1 power, 1/1 flyer, now also silences 4 cost units, not just 3 or less. So that's a nice buff, since there's quite a bunch of good 4-drops that you can now buff, like Bandit Queen, Highwayman, Sandstorm Titan, a bunch of relevant ones, 2 Wisps actually, because the Highwayman ping is pretty good against Wisps. The Sandstorm effect of Titan is pretty relevant to your flyers and stuff, so this makes the card much bigger in utility and a lot better against a wider range of decks. And then we get Soulbringer, gives the wisps that it brings back now +1/+1, where before it just brought them back. Making the card was actually kind of powerful before. The main problem was having enough good wisps and having a critical mass of wisps, so you usually have 1 or even 2 in your void, and triggering the tribute to get 2 back at the same time, because there's a lot of things. Like you need 2 wisps, they need to be good enough, you need to have tribute to get the maximum value. But now at least when you pull it off, or if you only get 1 back, it's going to be a lot better. Getting both back is going to be super powerful now, and getting 1 back is still a lot better than before, since you actually get the stats on top, making your creature fight better. Can even be used on, say, the 0/1 wisp that you can bring back with power to make it permanently better and stuff like that. So yeah, maybe there is some decent Radiant Wisp deck, probably not a great one, but maybe a decent one. Sorry about that. And then we have cost reduction with adjusted stats. Eva Eileen's Elite went from a 5-cost 4/5 to a 4-cost 3/4. Not sure how I feel about that. Like, I almost feel like the 5-cost 4/5 flyer was kind of better than the 4-cost 3/4, but not 100% sure. At least it's cheaper now, and then you can spend like the 5th turn to just drop all the 1/1 flyers that you get from her. And at least in terms of utility and wanting her for like blank extra cards to like strategize and merchant away, she's gonna be a bit better, and she still blocks a lot of small creatures. Then we have Lesrai Hideaway. The activation cost went from 4 to 3 to give an elf +2/+0 permanently, so that's kind of a nice bonus because it's a permanent one, making it also curve nicely into itself. Like, you can just play it turn 2, turn 3, activate it, make the 2/1 elf that you get from it a 4/1 and attack into a lot of things. Sleepless Night, now a 7-cost spell rather than an 8-cost spell, making the card definitely much more playable and competitive for for what it is, for a high variance card draw spell. The most recent promo, Star Reader Severin, now is a 1-cost unit instead of a 2-cost unit, which is actually pretty great, because for a 2-cost unit he was too low impact and also not aggressive enough for the 2/1 stats, because the 2/1 stats are very aggro stats, but now making him a 1-cost 2/1 with the potential to bring him back is amazing. Now the card's actually really interesting in a shadow heavy deck. Heavy aggro deck with this and Marionette Cross and maybe some other things could be really interesting and rewarding, so I'll definitely look into that probably on my next stream, because I'm obviously going to stream now after the patch drops and jam some more again and show you what I want to do with the new cards, and take the opportunity to also use a diamond drop campaign that I have and haven't used yet. And last but not least, Veteran Mercenary used to be a 5-cost 6/4 and now is a 4-cost 4/4. I don't know how I feel about that. I feel like they could have turned it into like a 4/5 or a 5/4. Like, 1 cost reduction for 2 attack isn't that great. Sure, the 4 health was a bit of an issue on 5, but not that much. So I'm not sure if the card is gonna be that relevant. But maybe like a 4-mana 4/4 that sort of draws your card could still end up being interesting in a mono faction deck like that shadow deck that I talked about, for example. So I'll take a look at that and see. But there is quite a bunch of competition in the 4-cost slot that should usually eke out a colorless 4-cost card with in-color cards in that color. So we'll see about that. Okay, pretty cool. I like that they keep buffing cards, that they keep things fresh, because the game was really stale for me lately, and this makes me wanna log in and play again, and not just play MTG Arena, but also play Eternal again. So I'll probably be streaming both tomorrow, first some Eternal and then some MTG Arena afterwards. So if you wanna catch me stream both or either, make sure to follow me here over on my social media and Twitch, or join my Discord server. You can also find all of this in the description down below. I'll also put a link to the patch notes down there, of course. And yeah, hope you guys are as excited for the new patch as I am. And that's it again for this time. This was Eternal News. I'm your host, Manu S. I thank you for watching, and see you next time. Bye.